Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock Doc Podcast.
I'm your host, drlennonsmith.com. I'd like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We've received some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terms that I've been using, such as malfeasance and fortuitous, forthriatids. So I'll try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. Here to help with that is our producer, Cameron.
Dr. London, school is almost back in session. Not quite, but we're a few weeks out from the return to school.
Yeah,
And
okay, you noticed this too.
I've been noticing this more and more lately. People are abuzz about it. I've heard rumors saying it's happening soon. Mm-hmm. And so that means it's our annual task to write our list of demands to the local schools.
That's right.
We do this
because they get so much funding. Just because students are going to show up.
They get so much funding. So many of my children go there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I'm always asking, okay, but what do I get out of this? And so we always submit our list of demands. So far, I don't really know if any of them have been implemented because I don't check on those things. I don't really like, getting all worked up over this and that. I like just to hang out and be chill.
And I've been telling you for a while, you got to get an assistant. That's why you get an assistant. And I know you don't trust anyone to actually figure your personal stuff out the way that an assistant would, but I think even just for part-time assistant would really help you to sort through your threats, your ransoms, all that. Just consider it, I guess.
Yeah, mail bomb threats, yeah.
Yeah, and it's since you do stay on the threatening side, because once again, the low effort thing, maybe find an assistant who can actually make those bombs for you. You know what I mean? Get someone with experience in a related field and then bring them on to assist you. People are hungry for work right now. I bet you could find some.
Yeah, I mean, I do think this is probably the best time in American history to sort of declare, I need someone who can, help build these bombs for me.
Yeah. Well, just, it's
and
access.
So, yeah, just putting that
access.
call out there. Glad that this is on the podcast. I just want to put that call. If you're a listener and you are interested in making, manufacturing weapons for me, to just sort of demand things of our local schools, then that would be really, really helpful. But anyway, let's write our list real quick of demands. Now, the first thing I'm gonna always request is a class on the lore of me and you, of Dr. London and Cameron.
Yeah.
As far as I know, nothing about any of our wild adventures and epic tales is taught in the local schools at all.
Well, and it's especially hard whenever I try to make conversation, whenever I hang around the playgrounds and stuff, because I gotta get my swings in too. And I go in there and I'm like, hey, what's up, man? Did you love the bit that we did last week on the podcast? And it's over their heads, straight over their heads.
I guess it's inaccurate to fully say they never teach the kids anything about us at local schools, because at those schools they do teach them hey, just don't talk to those guys over there on the swings, because we get very territorial about the swings. When we're there, they're ours.
Well, I'm better at it.
And so we're sort of growling and hissing at anyone who comes within 50 feet of the swings. And we've sort of won. The teachers have sort of taught the students, it's really just not worth it to fight for the swings. Just let them have them.
Yeah. Which I guess that'd be something I want to put on the complaints thing also is, or the, whatever the threats, whatever we're putting it,
Demands.
Better, more swings, because we only have the swing set with the 2 swings on it, and I'd like to bring friends sometimes to swing. So,
well, who would you bring other than me?
Look, so I want to have the possibility. It's you get, if you're looking for a house or whatever. I want to have the chance. I can tell people, hey,
right, you want the opportunity to
more of these. And then like if I go on a date, let's say, like I want to be able to say like, oh well, that's
Or the 2 swing seats aren't enough for the date.
well, then she might be like, whose is that one? And I'm like, oh, that's Cameron's, so you can't really.
Okay. In the context of this date, I'm still on the way. I'm still going to be there.
Odds are.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I appreciate that consideration then. Okay, so yeah, a class that teaches about our lore, additional swing sets that are facing the current swing set.
Yeah, because I do want to make eye contact more often when I'm on the swing. That's been like a huge drawback of it.
I think lunch is not spicy enough. I generally think whatever meals they're serving should be significantly spicier. And this is I've not eaten like children's cafeteria food in a long time, but I do know that like Gen Alpha and Gen Z are really into this hot ones guy.
Well, can I say you've done a great job on cutting back on children's cafeteria.
Well, it just got too expensive.
Yeah.
Bribing my way into the cafeteria and then bribing the lunch ladies to actually like give me some of it. And again, the food is not spicy at all. It's good.
Oh,
but I'm just saying, I've been researching this like hot ones guy because he's so successful, and I'm like, oh, maybe we can add some of this spice to our podcast. And the main thing I can figure out is people like him because of like the food is spicier. Whereas the food on this podcast and in our local schools is like so bland.
Well, and it's in part because, a lot of our listeners used to be newborns, neonates. And they have such a sharp sense of taste. That's why baby food is as bland as it is. Like we wanted to keep the food at a level where they could endure it.
Oh, I'm not saying make it as spicy as baby food. Baby food is too spicy.
Okay. Yeah, no, okay. I guess I see what you mean. So spicier than it currently is.
Yeah, like hot ones.
But less spicy than baby
food. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
like baby pears. Baby food pears. Oh, it's so spicy.
Yeah. Baby food apple slices.
Oh, so spicy. Cheerios.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, yeah. No, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what else? I would say, in addition to the Pledge of Allegiance every day, maybe they can also like pledge like their abstinence and celibacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just
because like it makes it like so much hotter when you're breaking rules, and kids don't know that. That's one of those things that like I know sex ed in the school isn't going to teach them.
Yeah. Well, and especially if they follow through with our other requests in the past of like, just don't bother with it because like they're gonna figure it out. Which a lot of schools in the South have actually taken this up.
Yeah, the kids are gonna figure it out anyway. But I think just pledging daily, like I am going to be celibate, I am going to be abstinent, is going to make their sexual experiences so much hotter, like down the line.
So, that's a good list. I feel like we covered most of what we've intended to put on a list.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I just hope that these changes are implemented soon and with an iron fist. Very aggressively.
Yes.
And later we have basically just some formal instruction for you. Speaking of school, we're going to take you to school in a way, but of your mind. But before we move on, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. So for a long time, our listener demographic was primarily composed of a guy who looked suspiciously like 3 kids stacked in a trench coat. But in our efforts to cater to them, we found that we were neglecting the many bot accounts that download our podcast. So this one comes from TikTok. It's a comment on our response to how long have you been doing this podcast, and is it actually profitable for you two, or is it just a hobby? Your TikTok is not large by any means. This comes from @00ng31. They said, quote, NGA, have you made more money than you spent? Crying, laughing emoji, crying, laughing emoji. So thank you so much for this feedback. Great question, but so we are not the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. And we get this all the time, okay? We're just, like, I'd like to think that we are intelligent, and that we also have agency.
I would also like to think that we're international, not national.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So yeah, if you had said IGA, then sure, maybe. But no, this just, I don't like when people comment, and this happens so often, when they comment on our stuff to address someone else, okay? Because we have to go find the other person and pass on the message. And it's a lot of work on our part. And it's eating into my schedule. Okay? Right?
Well, for me, like, I think one thing people need to factor in is just how much government funding we've received for this podcast.
Yeah. Oh, do they not know that? Is that not commonly?
Yeah, I guess not. But I mean, we are sort of a psyop, sort of propaganda podcast for the interests of basically a shadow government involving a lot of I don't know. Like,
yeah, I'd say not
like hacker guys. I guess I guess I don't really know. Like, I consider them a government because I pay them a shit ton in taxes.
Yeah. I'd almost say that we're losing more than we're gaining, with the amount that they're paying us versus us paying back in taxes.
Right. Well, and the propaganda they're asking us to spread is like certain types of like sandwich toppings.
Yeah, which we've done a terrible job at.
It's been terrible, and it's mostly just like ranking them. It's not really pushing is one better than the other. It kind of is, but a lot of them, they're like, just say they're all ties. Like, all sandwich toppings are pretty good depending on the context.
Yeah, and
I don't understand. Right, like, yes. So are we getting paid, $10,000 an episode or whatever by this sort of anonymous collective?
Yeah.
Yes. Are we paying $12,000 an episode in taxes to that collective? Yes.
Yeah. Is that it? And so I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for that feedback. This next one comes from @PapaWatson_TT. They said, quote, "Yo," end quote. And that's 5 O's. So thank you so much for this feedback. We do get this a lot, but I need to clarify here. I am not Soja Boy. Okay? And, like, I know that there's people associate with me with a lot of militaristic things. And I'll admit, I am a boy, but I'm not a Soja Boy. Okay? That's just not, I'm more of a pacifist, if I'm being honest. I swore this oath, to do no harm. And so just the sort of the guiding principles of a Soja Boy type just wouldn't match with who I am as a person and who I am aspiring to be.
Well, and even to call yourself a boy when your bar mitzvah is 2 weeks from Thursday.
Right.
So, like, pretty soon, people can't even say that anymore because, like, you'll be legally declared a man, like a Jewish man.
Yeah. Which is also tough because, like, once again, it's who I aspire to be. I'm not actually Jewish, but this bar mitzvah will make me finally a Jewish man. So,
and we have checked, because in the Guinness Book of World Records, this will make London the oldest person to have a bar mitzvah ever.
Yeah.
Because it's not in the Guinness Book of World Records at all.
Oh, nobody seems to think it'd be worth mentioning. Yeah. So, So we got that nailed. Anyway, hope that answered your question. Thank you so much for that feedback. And we have another comment. This is from @user 5372728299593. They said, quote, "I think we should start investing in new camera technology." End quote. So thank you so much for that feedback. We've been talking about the same thing. So for me, I do so many colonoscopies, and I feel like we could use that tech on the podcast.
Right. You're saying that we inject a camera into our buttholes every single episode, And so people see what they're looking at is just sort of a colon sort of pulsing a little bit as we talk.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, when you talk, the amount of pulsing that happens in your colon is accelerated and pronounced.
Well, the amount of clenching that everyone's constantly doing while they talk, right?
Yeah. So I guess like on that note, for any of our listeners who have, endoscopes, if you wouldn't like even new or gently used, if you could send those to us, because they get mad when I try to take mine from the hospital for this kind of thing. Like I've tried, like that was my webcam, and then I realized like it couldn't reach from hospital to like my bedroom. So,
well, and also I'm kind of tired of these people who complain about the camera quality we have, just because like they're VHS guys, but we're doing this show entirely on Betamax.
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand VHS is the more popular format, but like Betamax is still a clearer quality.
Yeah.
Than what you're going to get with just like a normal tape.
Yeah. So like, and like people talk about like, film, digital, whatever. And it's like, we made our own artistic choice. Okay.
Yeah.
Some people prefer to listen to their phones on Spotify's, and others like vinyl. Okay.
Yeah. And for us, it's Betamax. I listen to my music on Betamax.
Yeah, Betamax, that's right. Yeah. So just, I guess bear in mind, different people, different tastes, just like with sandwich toppings, anything else that you might be approaching in life. Okay. So.
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question. Thank you so much for that feedback.
And just, I'm really sorry, real quick, just when you mentioned sandwich toppings, you are supposed to say, and they're all equal. They're all just as good as the other.
Yeah. And they are, sorry, the sandwich toppings are good and they're all equal and good for eating even.
Yeah, and I rank them all number one. The ranking is a big part of it, even though they're all tied.
Now for today's medical topic, Fanconi Syndrome. Fanconi Syndrome is a dysfunction of the proximal tubule of the kidneys that leads to the defective transport of glucose, amino acids, sodium, potassium phosphate, uric acid, and bicarbonate. So a lot of these electrolytes. Fanconi syndrome is associated with glucosuria, which is glucose in the urine. Phosphaturia, once again, because there's defective transport, it's going to come out in the urine. And because they lose a phosphate, then it leads to skeletal problems like rickets or impaired growth in children, osteomalacia, osteoporosis, so weak bones. You have to use phosphates to strengthen bones. And then you can also have...
With the glue that's in the pee, right? Would that affect the color of the pee? Because my pee lately has been significantly less blue than it usually is. And now I'm sort of wondering, okay, is it like this glue stuff that's sort of clogging things up?
And you think it's the glue stuff, is it because it rhymes with blue?
Well, no, because you said glue, like glue closed pee or something like that. Yeah.
The glucosuria. I'd say, having seen your urine before, like whenever we have, we go to movies and then we'll have a sword fight in the bathroom before we go see whatever movie. I do become afraid of it. I don't think it's glue. I guess short answer. I do think it's a problem. And maybe you shouldn't drink just the color dyes so much. Like, because...
Oh, okay. So just sort of black.
No, so, like, because, whenever you try to use a dye, like cooking dyes, right? You do one drop and that's enough to dye the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And how you stay hydrated by drinking, multiple liters of...
Well, because your logic makes no sense. This idea that just one drop dyes the whole thing. You're telling me that in Green Eggs and Ham, that guy, he dyed an entire ham green with one little dot? No. That would just look like a little mold spot on your ham. It'd be disgusting.
Yeah, so I guess I can't speak as much to that specific. The eggs I can speak to more, because eggs are easier to mix it in. So I guess I guess the ham, you're right. The ham, I think, would need more, but I still don't think it would need as much as you're drinking every day.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's not, the amount that I drink is not related to green eggs and ham at all. It's just, I was sort of pointing out the flaw in your logic.
Yeah, thank you for that. So some people with Fanconi Syndrome, they can have pathologic fractures in adults. They can have proteinuria, once again, proteins in the urine. Polyuria, that means peeing extra, and then dehydration because of that extra urine output. They can have type 2 renal tubular acidosis, hypercalciuria, that's calcium in the urine, and hypokalemia, which when we say emia instead of the urea, that means in the blood. So it's low potassium in the bloodstream. Treatment for Fanconi syndrome is with phosphate, potassium, alkali, and salt supplementation, as well as adequate hydration. So, like, what you would think. You're losing this stuff from this syndrome, and so you have to replace it and also stay hydrated. And I'd say, like, water for the hydration rather than, a color dye.
Well, I mean, the thing that would make the most sense, if it's all in your pee, is to just drink your pee.
No, I'm saying the pee has different stuff in it than what it's supposed to, so you have to add something else in. Is that?
I don't know. I still think the pee makes the most sense. Have you heard about cycling?
Yes, from you, yeah. Yeah, which I guess that the listeners will have the question on their minds now. So cycling is, I believe, whenever you just have a cycle going of you drink your own urine, pee
everything that comes out goes right back in.
Yeah, it is recycling in a way. But yeah, I'm not a super big proponent of that, but I know that you, like, that's the only thing you drink besides blue dye is your own urine.
Yeah, which is blue.
Yeah. Okay, now today we realized we normally will talk about these health topics, we'll have a guest on, but today there's something that's been going on in society, especially with all this AI art and everything, that it becomes hard to tell how to differentiate between what is art versus what is content.
And especially, I mean, you've got AI, like you said, but also like these influencers. Like, are they artists? Are these real artists, or are they just sort of like social media, blah blah? Is this TikTok art? And the thing is, Dr. Lynn and I, as creatives, we are in a creative field. We sort of have our finger on the pulse of this thing. And we've gotten this question so much. We don't know why. We don't know why. This has kind of been the only question people have been asking everywhere on the streets. Anytime they see us, they run up and they go, Dr. London, how do you differentiate between art and content?
Yeah. And this is not, that anecdote isn't something we made up. I want to make that clear. People really do approach us on the streets. They usually do run up to us. Now, sometimes the words are a little different from what we because we have to edit a little bit to make it appropriate for the podcast. But they do, I assure you, they do run up to us and they do raise their voices at us, usually in an incredulous kind of questioning way. And this is what we took away from those encounters. So.
Oh yeah, we walked away saying, well, we have to address this now. These people keep running up to us being, again, I don't know the words exactly. It's like, give me that back or whatever. But they're asking about like, okay, well, how do I differentiate between like what is actually artistically fulfilling and creative versus sort of just, this content, this internet slop.
And I want to even push back a little bit against that. Okay. Content, just because something's content doesn't make it just your gruel or your slop, because some of us, content is actually king. I don't know if you've heard that phrase before, but that was actually based on commandments. So we have made content before. I don't know if you know this, Cameron. We've actually made content before. And sometimes the content was also trying to be art at the same time. Okay?
Oh, wow. Now you're teaching me, Dr. Lund.
Yeah. So, of course, what I'm referring to is the so I did this oil on canvas painting, and it took me, it was months of like very, it takes up a full wall, and it was depicting the scene of, whenever I was a child and the milkmaids and everything. And so I painted this and I made it to be content, right?
Yeah.
So I was pretty excited to sell this as content. So I posted it, and you know what it turned out to be? Art. Or content.
Oh, wow.
Hold on. I'm blanking on which one it was.
It's both, right?
Okay. I think so.
Wasn't that how that started? That story started because you were trying to say that it was both?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be. Yes, thank you.
I really think it has to be both. And that's so interesting because you're teaching me, Dr. London. Here I thought we were teaching the audience together, but you're teaching me. And now I'm suddenly questioning, the content I produce, which is crazypotatochipshapes.com, which is sort of my blog. And, it's pictures of potato chips that I see. And sometimes, every once in a while, you'll find a chip that looks like something. Now, I haven't found like, one that looks like the Virgin Mary or one that looks like Elvis. They mostly look like ink splatters.
Because you're eating it with you're drinking your dye, the blue dye with it as you eat your chips.
Yeah, and so they really resemble like wet potato chips covered in blue dye.
Yeah.
Most of the time. But if you think about it, you rarely ever see chips like that.
Yeah. And that makes that so that would be, is that art? Is that one? Hold on. And that's art.
Well, I was about to say, and now I always consider that content. Now I'm realizing it's also art.
Okay, good. Yeah, and now you're teaching me. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
But I think before we can really solidify to our audience what is art, let's go through what is not art.
Thank you. Yes. That'll clear it up for me too. So
horses, not art. Horses are a large mammal.
Mm-hmm.
They're an animal historically people have ridden. Famously, like in battles, lots of like pretty much every war was fought on horseback for a long time, up until like 2007 or so.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize this, but the horses are actually filled with horse meat.
Yes.
So,
so they're really more of a meat bag, like a food bag.
Yeah.
They're closer to a grocery bag than they are art.
And here's where the art can maybe come in is whenever you aren't supposed to make food out of the horse meat, even though it's meat. Like, that shouldn't be. You'd think that wouldn't be a problem, but people like get super upset about that, depending on the region you're in. So
yeah,
and maybe that.
And so I guess that's art.
That's art. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
the horse itself is not art, but the fact that you're not supposed to eat the horse sometimes is art.
Yes. That's a great example for that one. Screwdriver,
not art. That is content. A screwdriver is content.
That's right. Think back to your Instagram, and if you've scrolled before, and how.
Well, that's my worry, Dr. Lundern, is that these youngins, these kids who listen to this podcast, these Zoomers, can't even remember a time where their Instagram didn't have screwdrivers and all this other stuff. They're like, well, this is just normal. This is just how it is.
Nope.
It's like, no, that's content.
That's content. And it can be frustrating, especially because like a screwdriver can actually be used to make art. Okay.
Yeah.
Like if you were to screw in a screw that makes that does you know what I'm talking about, right? That makes the and it lights up.
Yeah, like a Christmas.
Yes, like Christmas
tree?
Yes, Christmas tree. Yes. So screwdriver can be Christmas tree. And that's art. But on its own, the screwdriver is content.
It's just purely content.
Yeah.
Let's see, the Mona Lisa, not art. That's a selfie.
Yeah. Which
selfies, not art. That's content. That's like the most famous content.
Yeah. People travel from all over the world to see the famous content on the wall at the Louvre, and that's like what would we say? The French turn out a lot of good content. It's not being mean to the content. Okay, that's what it is. It's like saying
the content doesn't mind. The content is happy to be properly labeled.
Yeah, and
unless it's pretentious,
which it is. In this
case, it's extremely pretentious. Very pretentious,
yeah.
Also, same kind of thing. The Van Gogh's Starry Night, that looks exactly like my piss.
Yeah.
Like my blue piss.
Yeah, no.
So, like, it's definitely, that's not art. I don't think whenever I pee in the toilet, like, oh, that's art. I know some people probably do. Some of this music I hear on the radio, I'm like, oh, okay. You just peed in the toilet and you put it on the radio and you call it art. I don't do that because I have integrity. My art is mostly the chips, the potato chips.
Sorry, and that's art, right? And that wasn't content?
That is art, but Starry Night, but Van Gogh's Starry Night,
that's
not
content
art at all. Yeah.
Let's see, what else? So a photo frame, okay, that is content, but if you put art in it, then it can be surrounding art. Okay.
Yeah, it can be sort of an art sandwich bag. So if you know what a sandwich bag is, it's this thing that Dr. London, you told me, invented. And it's sort of a clear bag that goes around. I mean, 2 slices of bread, maybe 3 slices of bread, depending on the type of sandwich and whatever fillings are inside of it. But because they're all equal, every single topping is, I rank them number 1, and they are just perfect. In the same way, a piece of art can sit inside like you called it a picture frame, but it's really sort of an art sandwich bag. And then at that point, the bag becomes art adjacent. So it's still content, but art adjacent.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that's a whole other category. Okay. I didn't know we were going to get into that.
Broadens it. That super broadens it. I do want to get to, you mentioned picture frames. I do also want to mention framing someone for a crime. That is art. That is, because art is all about expressing yourself and expressing your feelings, and also getting the audience to understand you on both an emotional and intellectual level that just saying in plain words they might not be able to. So what's an easier way to tell people my story of, hey, I want the money from this bank, but I want this other guy to go to jail for it. That's my feelings. That's how I want to express myself.
Well, can I say, that's also an example of collaboration, okay? You can't do that on your own. That's a collab, which, yes, that's art. Yes, collaboration is art.
All collaboration is art, yeah.
Have you been staying up pretty late trying to figure this out? Because I've been losing sleep.
Yes, and that's art, by the way. I don't know if you've tapped into that yet, but I just found out after my research has been coming through, and I just figured out that staying up really late is art.
Okay, and I just I don't think I've slept in a week. I've been trying to a little bit of research, but mostly just thinking and trying to figure out which of. Because I'll look at
that's painting. What I consider research. When I tell people, do your own research, I'm telling people, do what I do, where I just sit in bed and I stare at the ceiling and then I, just think.
Yeah.
And all my, all the news, people
and that's
are like,
content, right?
That's content. My thoughts are content. Okay. Because they're produced on my blog, on that chip blog. If you go to / brain news, there's a feed of everything I'm thinking about.
Right. Which, Elon's monkey chip brain thing.
Has not killed me yet.
Yeah. Not yet. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And that are the monkeys that died from Elon Musk's brain chip. That is art.
Yeah. Oh, please. Yes. Let me think of what else this week. So I saw a trash can, and I think that was content.
Trash can's content, but throwing trash away is art because you're making a statement on, I don't want stinky stuff on the ground. I want it in a trash can. Going to the mall with your friends is art, just because you're sort of expressing your desire to, either purchase something, but also not to be at the mall alone.
And posting a picture of your friends there with you online.
That's illegal.
Is illegal, yes.
Yes, you
just
can't
don't do
that unless you get permission from every store in the mall.
No, and
Like,
even then, even that, I mean,
then, I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah,
because then you've got to prove that to a judge, and that is content. Like having to prove to a judge that you got permission from every store before they lock you away.
Yeah, and once you get the government involved,
unless I framed you for this, in which case that would be art.
Yeah,
that's different.
The framing would be, but the initial, yes, okay.
Yeah, the framing would be art, but the actual action of going to get permission from all the stores in the mall, that's just content.
Yeah.
So yeah, as we said, BuzzFeed.
You should not be posting any photos or videos of yourself or anyone online. That just don't do that. Like, don't do that. Is really, because like other people can see that stuff. So like people you don't even know necessarily. So
no, even my dad.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. Once again, I'm learning here. How long has that been happening?
Thursday.
Okay, yeah, because you said he tried. Okay.
That's art. My dad's internet access is art. Let's see what else.
Did your dad get a pager?
Yes, he's finally connected to everyone else with his pager.
Okay, yeah. I knew, like, I was trying to remember which one came first, the pager or the high-speed wireless. Yeah. Okay. Well, good. I'll page him sometime. No, I don't want him to know what I'm up to.
When these Zoomers on TikTok do these little funky dances. Oh, I'm doing this dance for attention. Oh, blah, blah, blah. That is art. That's actually the most impressive art I've ever seen in my entire life. And that's actually like changing the entire world. And it's basically like Picasso meets Mozart meets me.
Oh, when the three of you would hang out. Yeah. Which is content.
Well, we would play pool.
Yeah.
Us playing pool was content. Yeah. But, I think the big underlying difference between art and content is whether or not Cameron is in the mix.
Yeah, I've noticed this.
This is a huge thing. A lot of people don't understand this. They'll listen to Bohemian Rhapsody and be like, "Oh, this song is definitely art." Cameron was in the mix. I was there. I was working on that. I did that.
You were working near it. Yeah.
I talked to Freddie Queen. And I said, What if you did a song where you sing about your mom and stuff?
Yeah. And do like a ha!
Yeah, and then be like,
uh-huh. And Freddie was writing it down so fast.
Yeah, he said, "Oi, mate. Yeah, sure."
Mm-hmm. With those beautiful teeth. Just the rows and rows of his teeth.
Yeah. When Banksy made that picture of, it was like Mickey Mouse, but like instead of holding like, I don't know, like a balloon or something, he maybe was holding like a grenade. That was me. I did that. Well, like I told Banksy to like, he should think about doing something that's like edgy. And then he did that the next day. So that was sort of my idea.
And when we say you told, you mean like you thought of, like it'd be a good idea to tell Banksy that, right?
Yeah, but that's how Banksy gets all of his messages. He doesn't have a pager like my dad, so you just have to sort of think it.
Yeah.
Until the message gets to him.
Yeah, it's called manifesting. It's manifesting. Manifesting is content, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the manifest destiny, that's art.
Yeah. Wow, I think we've pretty much defined it. It's kind of and like, sorry to be so cookie cutter about this, but everything does pretty much fit into one of the two categories. If
it genuinely didn't, I would drive my car off of like a cliff, and that would be art.
Mm-hmm. And it would not.
I would literally do that.
It would not be content, though. I want to emphasize that. Like, no matter how cool it would be and how many views it would get. Because once again, you really should not post this stuff online. Like it's really, like, it makes you seem really, really thirsty.
Yeah.
And not even for blue dye. So
No,
that's
for sex, right? That's what when people are like thirsty, isn't that like, you know, they post the emoji with like a tongue and
No, I thought
like
no,
like
it's
there'll
like
be like spit and stuff, and I just thought
okay, like
that
so a lot of people that don't have access to clean water. So I think for most people, Cameron, I'm pretty sure that they're just they get dehydrated. Like I need to drink water. Like that's pretty easy to clue into, okay?
oh, that you need to drink water.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I will say, yeah, people have been saying that a lot too. When people aren't saying, "Hey, Dr. London, what is the difference between art and content?" They're often saying, you know, "Sir, you're like so dehydrated, you're sort of like a raisin," and
then
just-
I'm like,
just
I'm a
walking
raisin
around.
my glass, but I don't have a glass. I'm very dehydrated. So, thank you to our producer Cameron. Thank you to Did You Know the Host?